Hi, this is a Nameless Ghoul from Ghost, and you're live in Limbo.
This is Andreas Babiolakis with liveinlimbo.com. I've got with me one of the few ghouls from the band Ghost who come all the way from Sweden. Welcome into Toronto. How are you?
Thank you very much. I'm very fine, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me.
Sadly, that's like the very little Swedish I can speak horribly. So,
No, it's fine.
but again, welcome to Toronto, and you're here promoting your latest album, which came out in August, Meliora, if that's how it's pronounced. And you've had some great success between that and your past two releases. How has everything been so far? I mean, all of this great success that you and the rest of the members have had.
It's been it's a lot of fun and it's exciting for us since, obviously we wanted to have success, but it's a bit, you feel a bit shook up in many senses, but it's great. I'm very happy.
Now, Ghost is a band that's very vocal about its message and its outlooks on the world. And as we can see, you've also got a theatrical get up with the band and a visual message as well. How much of what your band is trying to say is aesthetic, and how much of it is a personal belief that you're actually wanting to get out there?
Well, as much as, the personal message is not necessarily what we say because all of the members of the band have different views of things. That's so we're kind of eclectic in that sense. But and what we say may or may not be very important to people. It's very much up to everyone else to decide, and I think that's part of the message.
Like, what would you yourself personally believe then in that case?
What I believe we are bacteria on the surface of the earth, and that's it.
Having said that, your band's seen a lot of controversy, let's say. Like, a lot of people have had detractors to say about this. Now, with everything that your band puts out there, do you feel any of it gets lost with the controversy, or do you still feel like you get all of the music and all of what you're trying to say out there?
Well, yes, we do, but if you take any artist in any genre or what have you, what music in itself is, if you see it as a pure thing, a song is a song, then you add guitars on it, and some people don't like guitars. Then you add drums. Some people don't like that. You add distortion. You've got heavy metal all of a sudden. Some people don't dig that. So, for every little thing that's not just the song, sheet music, not to speak about lyrics, not to speak about like binding a specific artist. Maybe I don't like Bruce Springsteen, which I happen to love, but maybe I don't like him, so I will never get his songs. Like, they will never actually reach me. So it's the same for us as with every other artist. The songs come from us. We look the way we look. As much value to the music, distorting the actual picture of the music and the lyrics like any other artist. The only difference being that you don't know who I personally am.
Now, having said that, does that on that point actually is that something that you and everybody else in the band is fully comfortable with, the fact that there is an anonymity there, that your band is huge but you yourselves not necessarily are? Do you wish sometimes that your names were out there, or is there a comfort knowing that you could go anywhere in Sweden or all over the world and people might not recognize you despite the fact that you're well known musically?
Well, at least I have the choice, I could tell someone I found important that they knew, I could tell them. Whereas the opposite would be I could never argue or tell anyone I wasn't because I'd be recognized everywhere. So I'm in a winning spot here, I'd like to think.
Yeah, you've got a big group of people outside actually. Do you feel like How do you feel your music affects everybody that's outside? Do you think it's all in different ways, or because they're all here as this big collective fan base of yours, do you feel that it's all on a similar note?
No, not at all. It's a very, usually what we see during shows is a very eclectic, like, group of people from all over ages, gender, whatnot. So in that sense, I mean, just as much as my best friend and I don't get the very same feeling from a song or something, it's very individual. So, but I'd like to think that at least we make some people happy, and that might be, whatever happiness is to an individual, it's at least what would be the overall outcome of it.
You've talked about variety with, I guess, the people outside. With your own taste, you said you're a Springsteen fan yourself. How about everybody else in the group? Does everybody else have a big varied taste? And does that ever come into the writing process of your albums? Because while there is a clear aesthetic in place, as metal as your band is, they also take a few risks, let's say, a few things that deviate from the norm. So does that affect your writing process, everybody's varied interests at all?
Yes, it does. I mean, everyone in the band has a very widespread musical interest, and it doesn't necessarily, not that all the shit I'm listening to makes its way into what I'm writing or what we are writing. Absolutely not. But I mean, we get influenced by movies, culture, food, cities, happenings, history, whatnot. So there are so many points that kind of merge up, and it's sometimes hard to. We are a very framed band in the sense that we do what we know what we want to achieve and what it can be and what it mustn't be. Like this time it should be like this and that. But at the same time, we like to have fun, and I'm not going to listen to some fucking idiot that set some heavy metal roots 30 years ago. Why? Why the fuck? He's no fucking high priest. Fuck off. I don't have to listen to that at all. We've known each other for a long, long time, most of the members of the band, and this was an idea of one of us, and that was it. That was the ground idea that came up, spawned on from there. So I cannot really say how the initial thing, but it wasn't like everything came at once. It was, but there were a few years before we launched it, so to speak, before what we knew exactly what to do with it, how to present it. So in that sense, it wasn't a band that kind of came up and slightly started to change what they were. More like, let's do something like this and present it when we're ready.
Sounds good to me, and it seems like everything since then has been really well calculated, including music videos, album artwork, just everything, even your costume and getup.
We're not very casual. We're highly pretentious and very aware of what we're doing, and I don't see nothing wrong in that at all. I mean, I've been disgusted by pretentious bands, all my life, but come to think of it, rationally, all bands are, especially the ones that claim not to be. They're as fucking pretentious as anyone else. They know exactly what to wear, exactly when or when not to comb their fucking hair. It's bullshit, And
that's the thing. Can there ever be pretentious as the word is often used? Because at the same time, why wouldn't one want to be ambitious or do, as you said, specific things like comb in a specific way?
I mean, I reckon people have a problem with stuff not being just casual and devil may care, But very few artists ever actually were like that, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Now, you're bringing up a lot of these artists that you grew up on. Now, you're basically in their shoes. And, you could bring up artists from the past who have had a similar outcome, Alice Cooper, David Bowie at their time. They had their own ways of getting the positive and negative attention. Now that you're in their shoes, what's it like? What's it like seeing it from that angle? Is it all different, or is it exactly as you expected?
I wouldn't know because I never saw this from another angle. That's the short answer, and that's what it feels like. We're in the middle of the, well, maybe not storm, but the strong wind, so it's very hard for me to realize what it is and what it isn't, We are behind the wheel of this, so sometimes I reckon it's easier for us to look at the band from another point since we are masked and it's not like you recognize yourself on stage in that sense, but So you get kind of a gap between yourself and the band I think in a sane and sound way. But at the same time, it's very hard to realize how it's perceived. Very hard.
You also talked about the strong wind, and that's not just musically. I would say that even worldwide, like we have a lot of political movements and everything, not to name any specifics, but we have a lot of things trying to go forwards and a lot of things that are kind of stuck. Where do you think we are in terms of that? Like, are we making good progress, or are we still kind of being halted?
We're making very good progress in terms of, obviously people lead more sound and longer lives nowadays than they ever did, and fewer people are starving maybe than ever. But still, the numbers, man. And if you look at the planet and the environment and the fucking, in the grand scheme of things, I think we fucked up once for all,
You think it's irreversible?
In many senses, yes. At least with the powers that be, if they continue to decide, and if those people are going to be the kings and queens, we're pretty much fucked, yeah.
Fair enough, at least we can admit it, right?
Yeah, why not?
All of this newly found success, and you've got all of these masses outside. Like, where do you go from here? I've noticed that there's a bit of an alteration with the costume since a few years ago when your band really broke out there with songs like Year Zero. Now, where do you go from here? Will there ever be a time where you're all fully revealed? Will there ever be a time, or is that not even figured out yet?
Well, obviously, there will be a day when we're all revealed. Not saying that we will ever play without masks or, because that's what we do. So it doesn't really matter if someone knows who I am or my friend who he is, So, no, we won't. Even though we're bound to be revealed, sooner or later, we know that it doesn't necessarily mean that, that fucks up the band or such,
Well, for now, again, congratulations on your success. Absolutely, no problem, and thank you for taking your time.
Absolutely, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. And you've had some very wise and profound things to say for us today here at Live in Limbo.
Thank you so much.